can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Victims no more. I'm Devon O'Day.
I'm Teri Pugh. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And I do let everybody know I do share my studio offices with other people. So if you hear somebody talking about sports or churches and stuff like that, well, that's because I share my office with people who are on the phone and you can hear them sometimes.
Well, there you go. Well, today I'm sharing my office space with a parking lot because I'm in my car coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee. So if a horn goes off or somebody pulls by or you hear a beep, 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 it's not me. We're just going to keep on tracking.
We are. And today is a very special day because in our second installment of the 4 agreements, we're going to unpack this suitcase. Don't take anything personally. Oh, Lord.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord. That's a big one because we have an attachment to personalizing stuff that, one, has nothing to do with us, or two, maybe it does have something to do with us, but you don't have to get jacked up and come at it sideways. You can just be accountable to it and let that ride.
Yes, and we're referring to the second installment of our book study of the 4 agreements. And don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. That's Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of the 4 agreements. And it's fantastic.
It's a lovely book. And I will preface this because, not that we should, but we kind of have to. There will be things in life that, yes, we will take personal. Like when we say, if someone shows up and they're upset with you, it's not because of anything you've done. Well, if we're being honest, if you've been a jerk, then it probably is something about you, what you've done. But it's about in life when you have someone who honks the horn at you because you haven't gone fast enough, or you're in a relationship, work relationship, personal relationship, a relationship with your kids, and, everything's going smoothly, and then they bark at you about something. Those are the things that, as well as the big God picture and the universal picture, the car breaks down, you get a diagnosis, whatever it is, you lose your job. This is not, you don't have to take these things personal because they're not personal attacks. They're life unfolding. They're just life unfolding.
I think that's so important. And Elizabeth joins us and says also that this is the toughest one of the 4 for me. It's the toughest for me too. Toughest for me too. There's one of my cousins, Timothy Free. Hi there. Good to have you. I had to leave the state of Louisiana. I'm related to everybody there. Dennis Doris is joining us from Iowa. Good to have you. Candy Seaton, it's good to have you. And Candy Armstrong from across the pond.
Yes. Welcome, everybody.
So, and Candy says she has trouble with this one too, not taking it personally. I think if we're honest, this is the toughest one for just about everybody. I'm just going to throw that dart out there. It might be because a lot of times it's tough. It's tough when someone hurls an insult, and I'm going to use that with air quotes, because sometimes the insult has nothing to do with us.
Mm-hmm. Well, most of the time it has nothing to do with us. I think I would go out on the limb and say that the easiest one of the 4 agreements to follow by would be to do your best. And that's very air quotey and loosely. But I think being impeccable with your word is challenging for most of us, because it's not just our word, it's our thought. And our thoughts can be far more damaging to us as an individual,
right?
And then the making assumptions. But that's next week. I'm not going to put that cart out there that fast. But the not taking things personal, that can be a doozy. And a lot of times that's because we have tracked, or we have started our memory bank has started collecting memories, memories, thoughts, experiences. And we learn from an early age that when we have parents sometimes that say, you know, you make me so happy, or you make me so mad, or, you know, you just are a handful, or you're too much to handle, or you're too hard to love, whatever it is they're saying. From a child's perspective, we take that in and we do take it personal because it's coming
Right.
from a trusted source. And so then as we grow, of course, we evolve that into a language that works for us. And then it can become easy to take everything personal. I mean, I know someone who had an Amazon order delivered not long ago, and they delivered the wrong thing. Like it was just a mix up in the Amazon. And when I tell you that this person came unglued, unstitched, and finally unhinged because Amazon was out to screw them over, I was like, Lord, I'm going to need to take 3 steps back, because I was shocked at how personal it was. Really, like, they did this on purpose. And I was like, no, no. This is just a goof up, Is it frustrating? Yeah, it is. But it just happened,
I know those things that just happen are, and it's, I always laugh because I did not fall far from my mother's tree. I did not. And
I have a question. Did the apple even bounce when it fell?
no, it's probably still hanging there. I'm just saying. I mean,
it just dropped and just stood.
Mama Pat and I are right there, and so much of the way I approach things, and I realize it because she has a whole narrative that she creates about when people say something and what they mean by it. And it's just, and I go, oh, and I've really worked hard to get rid of that. And by the way, we have Mark Taylor who's joining us. Hi, Mark. It's so good to have you. And
yeah,
Renee, thanks. Who's from Lafayette, says, and that's the way you say it, right? Not the Tennessee way, but well, Lafayette. I don't know. Lafayette. Yeah.
You mean you don't say Lafayette?
Lafayette. Now, you know what? Renee might be in Lafayette. I shouldn't say that because she might not be in Louisiana. But it's hard for me to say Lafayette. But I don't argue with those people because I don't take it personally that they don't say it the way that we do.
That would be me. I'm a Lafayette gal.
Yeah,
but I can go. I'll go bougie. Lafayette. It's Lafayette. Yeah. I'm gonna start doing that just for you, Devon. Lafayette.
Renee says, how should we handle when a family member is on a smear campaign against you? I'm so glad you brought this up because I hear this so much, especially when divorce happens. Smear campaigns happen when people are trying to move on. Smear campaigns when there are children involved. Smear campaigns. I don't get it. But how do you handle a smear campaign, Teri?
Well, first, really taking time to get quiet and to assess who these people are talking to. I'm not talking about diving off and, making it your business, but like, say for instance, if you're going through a divorce and your soon to be ex-spouse has now started on social media, or they've started on with family members talking and all this, you have to really look at the big picture, like the Hawkeye view on that. Like, the people that truly know you, they're going to know that this is an untruth being told. They're also hopefully going to be able to see that that person is really stirring the pot when it's not necessary.
Right.
And your retaliation makes you, and when I say retaliation, I mean verbally or on social media, or, I know they am, but some, whatever, all that stuff that people do, getting in that mind game, the game of words that turns into a nasty, nasty war. You have to be able to be true to yourself, not to be in performance mode, but to be authentic with, I know who I am and I know what the truth is. And the people that you can trust and you can talk with in a responsible way, being impeccable with your word, not, well, he said this and I said this and he did this, and not that, but just, you know what, guys, I hope you can see that this may be his truth, but this is not how things happened. And you just sort of lay that out there. And again, you don't take it personal, because it's really not about you. It is, as you just said earlier, Devon, it's about another person's need, whether it's a need to be heard, seen, a need of revenge, a need to be validated. And we all know that sometimes family members and, people that we have had in our heart space close to us, when something goes awry,
Yeah.
many, many times they're the first one that will send out or seek out on a mission to destroy, and not not jumping in that pond with them, because that's the intention. That is, I'm going to seek out to destroy this person verbally. I'm going to turn everybody against them. I'm going to do this and this and this by saying they did this and this and this. And when you engage and you let them, you stamp that ticket to dance and you dance that crazy dance with them, you are just as much a part of the problem at that point than they are, as they are, not
Amen.
than they are. So you have to be able to stand back and go, you know what? The people that are closest to you that need to know your truth, you need to be able to share it with them logically. Like, this is where I'm coming from. I understand you may be, close to them, or you may have your own, you can form whatever opinion you need to, but your actions and your lack of reaction is going to speak far more about your role in all of that than dancing that dance.
Renee, I hope that helped you. I'm going to open up a little bit more of that. First, but I'm going to say hi to Angie, who just joined us. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Angie.
Candy says, I have one of those. I just cut her off, and most of my family with her, just not worth the energy. And that is one way of handling that, because sometimes if there's something very toxic that's happening, you can choose different places to put yourself. I'm going to bring up the N word, narcissist. Diane is joining us. Hi, Diane. It's good to have you.
Hey, Diane.
When a narcissist has done a lot of things against you, and they have started a smear campaign against you, knowing from personal experience. And here's my thing. I got a very strong spiritual voice that said, don't try to defend yourself. Stop trying to defend yourself. Because when a narcissist comes at you with a smear campaign, you try to defend yourself, they will bait you so you will make yourself appear crazy. You will make yourself be the illogical one. And reacting in emotion and defense are two things that never work in your favor if a narcissist has a smear campaign against you. I'm going to say, lay back and do exactly what Teri said. The Teri tool is lay back, let your real friends show up, because they will. And anybody else that wants to leave and believe untruths that they know that are totally out of the wheelhouse, let them go. Because a narcissist, it's like, I knew you were a snake when I picked you up. They will show their colors to everyone else eventually. Let them all find out, but don't try to defend yourself in that situation. Is that okay for me to say that?
100%. I would also say, to your point, the laying back, that the words that we use, in the biz, so to speak, are gray rocking it.
Yeah.
Become a gray rock. And what that means is you're not engaging with them. You're not giving them what they want. To them, you become boring because you're not fighting back. And you never win a logical conversation with fighting. You just don't.
Because
and I can tell you this. Go ahead.
Sorry. To feed that narcissist spirit, they have to have engagement. They have to have it. Negative, positive, whatever. It has to be engaging, because they have to know that they have that power over you. If you pull back and you become the gray rock and do not engage at all, cut off, gray rock, it is boring. It's no fun to play. It's the cat who has the toy that won't play back.
Right. And the other thing that I'll say is that, knowing, like, we've all had people in our lives where we've had to just sort of cut them out. Let them give them a little bit of slack and let them float on down the river just a little bit. It's one thing to cut people out of your life and be really resolved with, you know what, this was the best thing for me mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally. And I'm living my life and I'm living my best life as a result of that decision. It's a different thing to cut people out and then still allow their voice in your heart space and in your head, because you haven't really cut them out. They may physically not be in your life anymore, but if you're not living your best life on any given moment, I'm not talking about like ticker tape parade 24/7, because that's unrealistic, but like doing your best, again, agreement 4, we'll get to that week after next, but doing your best at any given moment, that allows you the authenticity and the autonomy to live your life without worrying about what someone else is saying to you.
Amen.
Dolly Parton has got a quote, and I heard it a few weeks ago on social media, where she said, I don't care what other people think about me. I want them to take the time to get to know me. And if they take the time to get to know me and then they have something to say, I do care about that. But if it's someone who is going to someone and just spreading rumor, or someone that's going to someone with an intention to tear you down, I can tell you this, friends, that speaks more about that person than it ever could you.
Amen.
100%.
Amen. Well, there's my insurance guy from Smyrna, Tennessee, State Farms. Marty Luffman is joining us today. It's so good to have you. Angie says, so much to learn here. Yeah. And Candy, love Dolly. Love that. Now Elizabeth opens up this can. That's what happened when I got divorced 30 years ago. My ex got custody of all of our friends as I refused to explain, get drug into the mud that was being slung. And yes, my real friends knew and supported me. There's a song that really helped me through, and it's Tracy Lawrence, Find Out Who Your Friends Are. It was really great because that song came from a real place in Tracy Lawrence's life with Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw and people that lifted him up. And the world can be a mudslinging hole if you want it to be. But if you don't get in that hole and you create this peaceful place and you consistently do your work on you, drawing good people to you, all that other stuff, the mud hole might still be there, but you don't have to run jump in it. You don't have to run jump in it. Elizabeth says, I love that song. Well, it is. It's a good song because it really is important to know who your real people are. And if you say, well, gosh, I lost all these friends. Okay, first of all, if they left you, they weren't your friends.
Right.
If you have 2 really good ride or die friends, you have more riches than a whole room full of people who would leave you in a dark moment.
And if you have done your own work and know I'm not a fan of that whole know your self-worth thing. I mean, I get it. I know where it plays in our society and in our brain, but if you've done your own work and you're good with who you are as a person, like you're genuinely good with who you are as a person, then you know what? You might walk by that mud bath one day that this person has dug and they've made this big vat of mud. You might walk by it one day and you might want to get in it, but you know what you're going to do? You're going to get in it and you're going to go, well, this is the most calming, relaxing mud bath. I'm using this as a spa treatment, because all this stuff that you're throwing out there to hurt me is not going to hurt me. I'm going to use it to benefit me. And I don't mean getting in there and playing a game with them. I mean, you cannot.
Well, we have a little pause there. There we are. Now you're back.
I'm back. Walgreens was trying to call me right in the middle of this. Who do they think they are trying to call me in the middle of our show? don't take that personal though, because, you know, they don't know any better. So whatever. But what I was saying is, you know, we can take the stuff that's being tossed out there, and we can look at it for what it is. You
Yep.
know, I dated someone one time that, um, you know, I've told people that I've worked with before. I mean, a narcissist, um,
Mhm.
but in the sense of actually, he had a few things at my house, and he wanted to come pick them up. I had no idea he wanted to come pick them up. Um, he actually called the police and told the police that I was a violent person and that he needed protection. And so the police knocked on my door. At that time, this was in '99. I was an acting massage therapist, had a studio set up in my home. I was literally drinking a bottle of water, listening to Dean Martin, and getting ready to do my massage. And I thought that was my client showing up, but it was the police. And he came in to, you know, protect this person that was coming in to get their stuff, which was like 3 boxes in the attic. And I struck up a conversation with the officer. We sat, we talked, we laughed. I gave him a bottle of water. And at one point he said, I'm definitely here for a reason, but not the reason I thought. And I knew in that moment, it was like, this fool has done, I mean, brought the police. I mean, I'm like, not in my world was that ever something that was ever a reality until
Mhm.
that day. You can't
Mhm.
take that stuff personal. It's like that's more about someone else with avoidance, more about someone else with a lack of accountability, more about someone else coming from a coward position. Now, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. If you're in a relationship with someone that's violent, absolutely have protection when you go.
Yeah,
But
that's a whole different thing.
that's a whole different talk show. but
Yeah.
but that's that thing. You just can't. Well, you can take those things personal, and I could have gotten on the phone and told all my family and my friends, and I could have just spun that out. That was on him. That had nothing to do with me. Nothing. But I
Yeah.
did meet a great person in the experience, so there's
Yeah.
that.
There's those conversations. I always say that the narcissist does things to perpetuate their narrative. Like, I had to call the police. She was so out of control. I had the whole police there so I could get my stuff. And if they say that, doesn't make any difference. If you're doing the gray rock, it's like, say whatever you want. It's okay.
Whatever
Uh,
you need to say.
Candy says the mudslinging people will still be out there, but you're just not in their line of fire anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Diane says, my husband rarely says anything negative about anyone. He usually says something like, I don't need to tear them down. They're doing a great job all by themselves. Oh, that's good. I like
Well,
that.
and that's that thing. You know, that's that perspective of, you have to know, like, here's the one thing. If we ever think that we can go toe to toe with somebody who is on a mission to tear you down, you will tear yourself down in that process,
Hmm.
because you will prove them right.
Right.
So if you want to, not, it's not even about being a bigger person, it's about maintaining your peace of mind, maintaining your clarity, your grace, your humor, your humility, all of that. Then you you look at the source that it's coming from, and you assess whether or not you need to have a conversation with anyone that's close to you to share your side. If you do not, and these are people that he or she is just out there spreading rumors, everybody has their 15 minutes of fame. I mean, I can almost tell you that if you ask me what any celebrity was doing 6 months ago, I probably couldn't tell you. So they're
Okay,
gonna
let's be honest. You wouldn't even know who the celebrity was.
probably not. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you I knew.
I know. You're so funny because you'll always ask me, there's this person, and it's like you either have the name wrong, because that's just not in your wheelhouse of
Yeah.
celebrity. That's like, people are people, and you just love. That's what I loved about you from the get. Candy says, I just don't worry about the mudslingers. If someone believes what they're slinging, that's okay. They're not my tribe anyway. And Candy also, maintaining your peace. That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No one, no one that is walking this earth is important enough to hand over your peace of mind to. and let them walk away with it. If you're putting your peace of mind, your happiness, your joy in someone else's pocket and they walk away, it's gone. You have to hold it for yourself, and you have to know that sometimes we're gonna have conversation, we're gonna have employees, or we're gonna have employers, or we're gonna have co-workers that are not always going to get along with who you are, what you say, and all that. And I mean, we live in a snivelly kind of society where people are always trying to not one up, but well, I guess they might be trying to one up too, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But they're always trying to have the last word or make themselves look good. If you
Right.
are a good person, you don't have to worry about making yourself look good.
That's right. You just are. You just simply are. Okay, tools. Don't take anything personally. Let's give us some tools so we can. I always think you start by knowing yourself, knowing who you
Absolutely.
are,
And
truthfully.
yeah, authentically knowing who you are. And knowing who you are means that sometimes you have to really, look at that turd sandwich sitting in front of you and go, okay, yeah, I'm sometimes I'm not a nice person. Sometimes I actually do talk about people. Sometimes I take things personal. Sometimes whatever it is that you feel about yourself, but you don't kick yourself for it. That's just accountability. That's the first step. Willingness and accountability is the first step to getting into a place where you know who you are and you're not worried about going toe to toe with someone else to try to, whether the Amazon package is wrong or whether the person honks the horn because you're looking at your phone, and they honk the horn and then you're all up in arms because somebody honked the horn at you. Well, what was your role in that? Oh, that's
Hmm.
right. You were on your phone. So don't take it personal. Just be accountable
Hmm.
for your role in it and then let that go. Like truly let that go.
Always say, know yourself, authentically know yourself, do your work on
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And this is my third thing. When you are wrong, promptly admit it. When you are wrong, and Elizabeth and I, we talk about that a lot. And there is a joint fellowship that's one of our steps is when you are wrong, promptly admit it. There is a world of healing that can take place if you know that you are wrong. If someone has been harmed by your actions, a simple "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to get hurt," or even if you did mean for them to get hurt. Contrition is a good way to start by mending that, and making a move toward healing. And sorry just goes a long way if you mean it.
I started to say, if you mean it, sorry goes a long way. But if sorry is your condiment in conversations and that's what you go to because that just makes everything okay in the moment and it gets you off the hook, then you probably need to dig a little deeper
Yeah.
because then you get into the asking for forgiveness. And I know we've talked about this in the past when we say we're sorry to someone, that we're still maintaining control in that conversation. Devon, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. That's me being able to control that narrative. Devon, my intention was not to hurt your feelings. I hope you can forgive me. That's me surrendering control to all of that and giving you
Mhm.
the option to say, let me think about it and I'll get back with you. And
Whew.
it's not, I need you to forgive me right now. Because then you're still trying to control the narrative,
Yes, yes.
right?
Elizabeth adds, that is very hard at first. As we practice promptly admitting it, it does get easier. That place of I wronged you. I admit I was wrong. There's a huge thing, not what it does for the other person in its silo. It's what it does for you when you can admit that you've done wrong and when you say I'm sorry without a but following.
100%.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but or I'm sorry. That's
Right.
another example of no. What?
Right. I'm
Okay, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
I'm sorry, but you made me so mad I did it.
Yeah.
What? Like that
No.
doesn't even make sense. But here's the other thing to that. Look at me. You said but, and I
Mhm.
said but. Here's the other thing. I don't very seldom do I ever say but. I've said it 3 times. Now I might say ass every once in a while, but I very seldom say but. Um, there are opportunities, when you're apologizing to someone and when someone's apologizing to you, the best change of behavior or the best apology is a change of behavior. Not my quote, somebody else's. And I love it because there's so much meat to that. If you find yourself in a cycle where things are happening, you're taking it personal, someone's saying, well, I didn't mean to do that, and they are sorry, and then you get through it, and then it happens again, and it feels like another personal attack. That does not mean that this person is doing this necessarily to you. Perhaps it's happening for you to learn something about yourself, for you to
Mm-hmm.
learn when certain people show up in certain ways, for you to grow. We can look at things and be victimized by it, or we can take things and wield them and weaponize them, or we can just say, you know what? I'm not going to take this personal. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to grow. See where I showed up and
Mm-hmm.
how I showed up. And then if there's accountability there, by all means 100% own it. And also don't bully yourself into owning something that it's not yours to own. Because we as human beings will do that. We'll get
Mm-hmm.
in a conversation with someone who will say something, we'll take it personal, or they'll take it personal. And then if you are a caregiver or a people pleaser or a fixer, a lot of times you will they don't have to throw you under the bus because you will step right out in front of that bus
Yeah.
to take the hit so that everybody gets back on board and it's all, you know,
Right. That's
fair play
very
again.
good point. Very good point. It has to be authentic from the get go. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be authentic, and it's like if you are wrong, promptly admit it, and have a contrite heart. And I said, let me quote scripture here for 1 second. Grace without works is dead. It's like you have to follow through with the language, the words, follow through by action, like you said. Angie says, I used to have a big problem admitting when I was wrong. I feel I've gotten better and will admit more freely now when I'm wrong. Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's moving the
Yes,
needle in the right direction. Joyce joins us. Sorry, missed it. I'm busy at work. Laurie, love y'all girls. We love you too.
we
And
do, Joyce.
we love leaving these shows up so you can enjoy them later and share them. Dennis says, I completely enjoy this program. I'm so glad to listen in. Thank you. Oh, I love it. And
Yes,
Diane's along with us too. I really hate that I can't be at the retreat this Saturday. Maybe next time. Oh, speaking of, let's take a look at that. We do have some spots open if you would like to get that, because we had a medical cancellation.
mm-hmm.
Someone had an issue. So here it is. If you want to be there on Saturday, we've got some space for, I think, three. I think
Mm-hmm.
three. I think
We
three.
do.
And so Teri at terrypugh.com, you can just send her an email with this right now. And it's this Saturday, starts at 10 o'clock in the morning until 3. Bring a sack lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have something good to eat, just some little snackies and stuff. But y'all just feel free to come on. And if you want to be a part of this, it will be it's a good refresher to start your year.
It's a great refresher to start your year. It's also a lot of self-awareness, a lot of sharing, a lot of laughter, a lot of growth. It's just a lot of aha moments,
Mm-hmm.
and those aha moments, you tuck them away and they're like little seeds. They bloom all throughout the year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a good connection. So we do have, if you are interested, you can either go to terryp.com, or if you look at the flyer that we'll post it today, when we're done with this, I'll put it in the comments. But it's 149. It's from 10 to 3 this Saturday, and you can call me at my phone number's on the flyer, and just, go ahead and get your spot. Lots of goodness, lots of food for the soul.
It is good food for the soul, and warm electric blankets.
Yes, yes.
Shonda is with us. Hey, Shonda, I love
Hi,
you.
Shonda.
And Joyce says, I find myself saying I'm sorry when things are not my fault. Well, that is not one, being impeccable with your word,
Right.
because remember, that's the foundation. That's where we start with the 4 agreements. Then don't take anything personally. Whoo. And so taking it on yourself is not going to help. Dennis says, I tell people, I know you're sorry, but do you apologize? That might be wrong, but well, I think you're saying what we're saying is like words with action.
And I think, Dennis, to your point, a lot of times, depending on who you're talking with, you
Mhm.
can have certain relationships with people and they'll just say, they'll say things like, well, I'm sorry, and that's not an authentic apology. That's
Mhm.
just a word. It's just words where it's like, well, I'm sorry, because that's the broad stroke, the brush over, but getting in there and having a conversation about what it is, owning your part, and then apologizing, that's a true apology.
Yes,
Owning
absolutely.
your part and then apologizing.
Uh-huh. And Candy says, totally hooked on this show, watching from a London bus. Oh, go have some Indian food there. It's like the best in the world. I'm so jelly. uh, and Diane says, can't wait telling everyone. She's going to be with us on Saturday.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Jonathan Goodwin is with us. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey,
Hi,
Jonathan.
good to see you. Right, it's like a cover-up word, Dennis says.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all,
Mm-hmm.
that brings us to a close today. You guys are the best. You make this show each and every Wednesday. We're here at noon every Wednesday. And if not, we run an encore performance. But next week, we're going to talk about Don't Make Assumptions. And then
That's
I'm
a
going to
good
really
one.
talk about my mama.
That's a good one. Don't make assumptions.
Yeah, my mama can do she should have been a writer. She should have been a writer because she can come up with
uh,
some good old Baptist stories, and just like,
well,
well,
you know what? And aren't we the best as human beings with coming up with stories, even about ourselves?
uh-huh.
Even about ourselves, we'll come up with, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I mean, I came up with a whole narrative in the 10th grade because of something that, a parent said to me, my father said to me, no one wanted to hear what I had to say. And so I stopped writing. I stopped doing everything that had anything to do with sharing because I felt stupid. I felt like I didn't have anything to say. But what I didn't pay attention to, because I didn't have, my ears weren't cued to it at the time, that was God or the universe's mess. That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
So I let someone who maybe didn't feel like they had anything to say, no shade on my dad, but I let someone who felt maybe a little lack in themselves place that
Mhm.
in my backpack. And then I just carried that with me through most of my life. And that's the stuff we're talking about. Like getting in and really knowing who you are. Who you
Mhm.
are, who I am is not, I don't have anything to say. Who I am is, I'm constantly fed with information from the universe, from God, from great mentors and people who have come before me. And I am divinely obligated to share that. And I will never complain about that. So that's where we are.
It's that one negative that can really get us, and I've chosen, and this is my Teri tool as well. If you were watching the interchange between you and someone who was insulting you, saying something to you, being ugly in your mind to you, putting in those barbs, parent, child, because children can be just really cruel to a parent too. And somebody you work with, no matter who it is, putting in those barbs. If you kind of look at it and you can step back from it and see it, and you gave me this tool, and I think it's miraculous for me. If you could see it as if you were watching a television show and it had a laugh track, would you laugh at the absurdity of what they were saying? You helped me with that because I had some home issues. I had some mother issues. And you said, one, what would you have your mother do when she says one of those things? And I couldn't answer that question. And number two, she says, what if this were on TV and it were a comedy? And I started seeing myself as Dorothy and Sophia on the Golden Girls. And I go, I would laugh. She goes,
And that's what you do right now.
it's
Here's
in
the
your
other thing.
perspective. You change your perspective.
Right. You
Pull
change the
back.
way that you're attached to it. Now that doesn't mean you laugh in their face because that just makes the matter worse. But
Yeah.
like you that would not be a Terry tool. That would be like some, Jerry Springer tool or something. But no,
Yeah.
I mean that, you pull that back, and if you're hanging on to it, you look at it and you really do get out your feelings about it, and you just go, huh, well, that was a little cuckoo cuckoo. And you can bring humor to it, and then you are able to release it because you've created a new memory around it, and it doesn't hold you.
Well, I knew that I had made improvements using that particular tool because I love it, and I love my mother more than lunch and jewelry. I do. She's just the funniest thing. She's hysterical, and she's 85 years old, and she is the steel in my magnolia. I'm just going to say she's made me strong, and I love that. But my sister remarked, she said, "You're not upset about any of those little barbs or any of those little things," and I said, because I had removed myself and I was using that tool in reality. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, it works to pull it back. And I got tickled at some of the stuff. It did not, don't take it personally, changes everything about your life. And that works. And I do want to bring this up. I know we're going over time, but if someone says something to you, false compliments, don't take those personally either.
Hey, here's the thing. I mean, when we talk about don't take it personally, Don Miguel Ruiz will tell you, we're not talking about just the you're stupid, nobody likes you comments. We're talking about the, oh my gosh, you're the most beautiful person in the world compliment too. Or, oh my gosh, you are, I just adore you. Those are things as well. Like, it's not about
Uh-huh.
not taking it. It's not about getting in a place where you're refusing a compliment, but it's about not getting in your head with it, not attaching to it, and not allowing that comment that was made to have more
Mhm.
power over you than your own authority, your own common sense. Like,
Mhm.
not allowing that to happen, you know.
Yeah, compliments with an agenda, and you know in your spirit when compliments come with an agenda. When a narcissist is a brilliant manipulator with a compliment.
Or a compliment,
Brilliant.
you have said to me many times, Teri, you have saved my life. Teri, you have done this. Teri, I wouldn't be here without you. I'm not saying that, to toot my horn, but those are things you have said here on
Yeah,
this program. And every time you say that, I will come back with, I appreciate that, but you did the work as well. And that's
that's
not a that's not a but. I'm not taking away
uh-uh.
from it. I'm giving ownership to where that comes from. I
That's right.
appreciate the compliment, but I don't look at that compliment and go, yeah, girl, you're right, I saved your life. Woohoo, who else can I save? That's not that. It's
No,
about, you
because
know
you do
what?
not have the magic wand, and
Mm-mm.
words without action are dead. That's
Right.
the thing. Grace without works. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not about that. It's just about being gracious and receiving, and then also ownership. When people
Mhm.
do the work, that is, for me, the one of the biggest gifts, and honors, is that
Uh-huh.
people see themselves sometimes for the first time, and they start doing the work, and then their life
Absolutely.
changes, and that's because they chose. I'm a conduit.
Yeah.
They chose, and I'm here to help that.
Well, you guys are brilliant for joining us every week. You bring the great questions, great comments, and I love this one from Diane because it made me really laugh. My first husband told me my hair looked great once, and I promptly threw my hairbrush at him, not advising.
Right.
I I love you so much. This has been a great time together, you guys. If you need to reach out to me, devonodey@gmail.com. And Teri Pugh, you want to take us home?
Absolutely. I am at terrypugh.com. And as always, we appreciate you choosing to spend your time and your energy with us. And if you're interested in the workshop this Saturday, please let us know. We've got space. And until we see your beautiful faces and hear your beautiful comments next week, when we take on Don't Make Assumptions, please take time to be good to yourself and create, what's the word that I say? Create memorable moments that
Mhm.
result in beautiful experiences, and increase your peace. See ya.
I love it.